Hare Krishna, Shri Shri Radha Madhav Vastu Sakhi ki Jai, Shri Shri Pancha Tattva Bhagwan ki Jai, Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki Jai, Gaur Nitai ki Jai, Nrsimh Dev ki Jai, Hare Krishna. Uh, just a moment. Okay. Firstly, on behalf of the leader, I thank all the Japa leads who had come in and performed their service. So we move on to the next part of our regular morning class, which is the Srimad Bhagavatam short class. Before that, we start with a short kirtan and then we move to the subject. Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Randana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayo Gandharvika Giridhari, Gandharvika Giridhari Gaura Hare. जय लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जयो अनंत दे लक्ष्मी नरसिम्हा जयो अनंत नित्य हरि बोल हरि बोल हरि बोल नित्य हरि बोल ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायण नमस्कृत्यं नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तम श्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी. Reading from Canto 1, Chapter 17, titled Punishment and Reward of Kali. We are going to discuss the second words today. Vrishamrnalatabalam mehantam iva bibhyatam bhepamanam padaikena siddhantam shrudhataditam. Vrishamrnalatabalam mehantam iva bibhyatam bhepamanam padaikena siddhantam shrudhataditam. Translation. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. The bull was as white as white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. It's a small purport. We'll read it. The next symptom of age of Kali is that the principles of religion, which are spotlessly white, like the white lotus flower, will be attacked by uncultured Shudra population of the age. They may be descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers, but in the age of Kali, for want of sufficient education and culture of Vedic wisdom, such a Shudra-like population will defy the principles of religion, and persons who are religiously endowed will be terrified by such men. They will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principles, and many isms and cults will spring up in Kali Yuga only to kill the spotless bull of religion. The state will be declared to be secular or without any particular principles of religion, and the result there would be, as a result, there would be total indifference to the principles of religion. The citizen will be free to act as they like without respect for sadhu, shastra, and guru. The bull standing on one leg indicates that the principles of religion are gradually diminishing. Even the fragmental existence of religious principles will be embarrassed by so many obstacles, as if in the trembling condition of falling down at any time. Umajnanatimirandasya ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपगदामह्यं ददाति स्वापदान्तिकं। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरुं श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितां च। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगतपते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। नाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपकुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। जागल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्तवृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे हरे, हरे राम 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 हरे हरे। श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय, पतित पावन गुरुदेव की जय। वृषं मृणालधवलं मेहन्तम् इव बिभ्यतं वेपमानं पदेकेन सिद्धन्तं शूदताडितम्। The bull was as white lotus flower. He was terrified of the Shudra who was beating him, and he was so afraid that he was standing on one leg, trembling and urinating. Okay, so we all heard, the previous chapter that the Mother Earth, that is the cow, expressing her distressed state of mind to the personification of Dharma, who was taken the form of a bull. She was lamenting in the pathetic condition of the people of this age, and she noticed that the age of Kali has dawned. So the first verse we all heard from His Grace Madhurapati Madhusudan Prabhu, the Sutta Goswami, explaining that the King Parishit came across a person dressed like a king, but having the bull and the cow with a club. Srila Prabhupada was clearly saying the principal signs of this age of Kali is that the lower caste Shudra, that is men without any Brahminical culture and without any spiritual culture, they take part in, they take the position of a king, and their main business of this unqualified administrators is to organize slaughterhouses. And we can see that even this degraded Vaishnavas, what it says is engaging, supplying cows to slaughterhouses. These are some of the symptoms you can see in Kali Yuga. Now, in today's verse, it says further symptoms of Kali Yuga is explained by Sutta Goswami, that the personification of Dharma, here again referred to as bull, he says here it's in Dhavalam, that is in white in color. It's compared to the white lotus flower, Mrinala Dhavalam. Okay. Why white? If in case you're wondering, it is basically represents purity. Okay. And we all know Mrinala means lotus, right? We'll probably spend a little time on that and a few other aspects of this and what is the solution for this degraded Kali Yuga. Okay. So the white color, as I said, represents purity. Okay. And there are many, many different kinds of lotus flower, right? Another word for lotus is also Pankaja, right? Panka, whatever, lake, and Ja is born in a lake, right? So this word Mrinala, I was hearing a lecture of His Holiness Bhakti Rasapta Maharaj. He was saying very nicely that Sanskrit is such a beautiful language that for any given word, there are many dozens and dozens of synonyms, right? The wonderful part is that we can invent new words, okay? As long as you put the right words and follow the rules of grammar, most important. It's said that in Sanskrit, there are about 70 or 75 synonyms for water. In English, what we normally refer to H2O, or maybe, I don't know, I cannot think of anything else, right? The same is the case of earth, even fire. Similarly for Mother Earth, so many references in Bhagavatam, we can see that. But here, today, we are going to talk for devotees. Lotus is a very commonly used word, right? Krishna is compared to lotus. Devotees, in case you have many other comparisons, you can start typing in the in that message. So we know, I mean, most famous we all know is Kunti Maharani had prayed, right? Namaha Pankaja Nabhaya, Namaha Pankaja Maline, Namaha Pankaja Netraya, Namaste Pankajangrehe. She was saying, wow, oh, my respectful obeisances unto you, Lord, whose abdomen is marked with depression of a lotus flower, who's always decorated with garlands of lotus flowers, whose glance is as cool as the lotus, and whose feet are engraved with lotuses, right? Angri means feet, Pankajangri. We also have Pankajangri Prabhu, who's no longer with us, who's continued his Nitya Leela at Mayapur. It's always so nice to remember such pure devotees. Okay. So through literature and Srimad Bhagavatam, in many other scriptures too, right? Lotus is a very important flower to us. Time and again, we have comparisons made of the lotus flower. Lotus is compared, as I said, it's symbol of purity, and also simply because it's beautiful, right? Pankaja means ja. I said pankaja. Panka also is that another word which is like mud, right? Ja is Janma, that is wherever it is born, despite born in a muddy area, it's pure. So even in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Padma Patram Ivambasa. So one who performs his duty, that is in the karma section, without any attachment, he says, and surrendering the results to Supreme, it is unaffected of the sinful action. How it's compared as lotus leaf is untouched by water. So we should be like a lotus leaf. Though it is in a water, the leaf does not absorb water. I'm sure you all have seen, it just flows away. It remains amidst impure circumstances, because of its beauty and purity. everything is compared to lotus. In spirituality, of course, Krishna is compared to lotus. Why? Only Krishna, this very Krishna conscious moment, everything is beauty and pure. So we can always refer it to, compare it to lotus. So another few synonyms, we can just spend another few seconds. Ambuja. Again, Ja, I said, is born, Ambu, water. Again, the same way, I think Pankaja, then Padmaja, Saroja, all these, Kamala, many other names. If you all have any names better than these, please type it, so that for the benefit of other devotees. Okay. Nalini is also one other name for lotus. So there are different types, different colors of lotuses also, right? Here, Sutta Goswami is referring to Mrinala Dhavalam. So Dhavalam is white. I heard that there is a blue lotus. Okay. And we heard from His Grace Gopal Krishna Karunadas, it's a black lotus. That is His Holiness Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, Swami Maharaj, right? He's referred as black lotus. So beautiful, right? Even pure devotees are referred to. That's why we say lotus feet, lotus mouth, those kind of things. So if you see that Srimad Bhagavatam, in a way, it's like the entire, maybe a horticulture department or somebody would be very, very interested. That's why I said we often say Srimad Bhagavatam has got all the departments, whether it's horticulture, metallurgy, astronomy, whatever it is, it's all there in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Prabhupada starts this purport by saying, the next symptom of age of Kali is the principles of religion, which are spotlessly white, like the lotus flower, will be attacked by uncultured Shudra population of this age, right? So the principles of religion must be pure, and Srimad Bhagavatam is the highest expression of the spotless principle of religion, right? So even amongst the Puranas, we all know that there are 18 Puranas, right? It's divided as 6 each, in the sense that 6 of them are in mode of goodness, passion, and 6 being in mode of ignorance. See, this above classification is not, it's done by the topmost Vaishnava. It's actually Lord Shiva himself, when it is a discussion between Mother Parvati. These are all recorded in Padma Purana, Uttarakhanda. Okay. There are many subsidiary Puranas, whatever we call it, Upa Puranas and things like that. But amongst all these scriptures, amongst all the Puranas, Itihasas, Srimad Bhagavatam holds a very, very special place. That's why it's called Amala, right? We all will sing every single day. I'm sure everybody sing Amala Harinam Amiya Vilasa. Spotless Purana, that is. Actually, this Purana, this Srimad Bhagavatam is for those not even in those 3 modes, who are beyond these 3 modes or on the transcendental platform, right? The very second verse in Srimad Bhagavatam, right? It clearly suggests that It rejects all other motivated religious activities. This can be understood only by those who are free from envy and who have saintly qualities, right? It establishes the ultimate truth, the real truth, and not the whatever in Kali Yuga we say, no, false truth as real truth. No, that's not the truth. It uproots the miseries from the root, right? We all know recently also we got a very nice association with His Grace Kalachakra Krishnadas. Prabhu was mentioning 5 items will not touch you. What is it? If you can remember, it's Shoka, Bhaya, Shoka, Moha. Okay. And that represents, sorry, he was saying first was even hunger and thirst, even the bodily aspects was covered. And then this Shoka, Moha, Bhaya, that is in a way past, present, and future, right? So in other words, Srimad Bhagavatam is the scripture of this age, right? Okay, so fundamentally, the real scripture is Srimad Bhagavatam for all Gaudiya Vaishnavas. That's why when the sages of Naimisharanya understood this Kali Yuga was going to come in, they were asking out of concern, what's going to happen to the people of Kali Yuga? Who is going to set the standards for this age? Who is going to, guide them? They were all concerned with the Kali Yuga. Why? Because Krishna, who's the upholder of Dharma, who was the propagator of Dharma, who was the implementer of Dharma, has left this material world, which means he's finished his Leelas, he's gone back, he's wound up his pastime, right? They were concerned who's going to look after the religion. Because Krishna says, I'll come down yuge. But Shuta Goswami is saying, tells them that don't worry, for those who have, who have lost the spiritual eyes, this Purana, this Srimad Bhagavatam will be like a sun, which is that too what newly risen sun, which is just now risen, and will guide people, right? And give them the knowledge and give them the true Dharma, which is Krishna consciousness, right? Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya, Mam Ekam Sharanam Braja. Remember, he is used Mam Ekam, no plural. Singular. This is what His Holiness Bhakti Nityananda Maharaj used to always say in his lectures. Only myself, take my shelter, become my devotee. Very clear. Ultimate principle of Dharma is given. So this Dharma is taken the form of a bull, and which is white in color, indicating purity and beauty of this religion. Okay, that is why the mention of white is specifically there. Now, white lotus is especially pure because it is spotless, it's clean, right? That is why if you really see anything to do with Grahasthas, it's always the uniform for us. Prabhuji is always given white dhoti, white kurta, right? It should start from the dress, our culture, our behavior. Later on comes etiquette and so many other things. But if you see everything is white, which means everything is so beautiful, everything associated to white is so beautiful, so pure, so nice, right? So, like we said in this verse, there is a lot of characteristics of Kali Yuga as mentioned here. To continue the narration from the previous verses, Srila Prabhupada explains the religious principles will be attacked. Okay, this is quite literally and also metaphorically. Okay, we'll see what that happens. One, yes, we can see clearly cows will be slaughtered. In fact, I don't know, whatever they call it, mechanized slaughterhouses. These leaders do not respect any principles of religion, right? And now just let's see what is that, why they don't respect or the aspect of attacking, right? We'll just spend a little time and then we'll spend on the solution, two main solutions. Okay. So even though they all seem to be called descendants of Brahmana or Kshatriya forefathers in this age, for want of sufficient education and culture of wisdom, they'll act like Shudra population. That means, Srila Prabhupada always says, education does not mean mathematics and physics or, social studies. Education means real education, which is knowing the spiritual principles, the real religious principles, bereft of Vedic's, wisdom, right? The principles, the persons who follow Vedic culture will be, it says, will be terrified by such men, right? So here, Prabhupada in fact writes, they will declare themselves as adherents of no religious principle, and many isms and cult will spring up in Kali Yuga only to kill the spotless bull of religion, right? So, I was remembering one incident where, even the so-called advocates were trying to, one particular incident, one of my business associates is I think his son was getting married to a Vietnamese, right? So Vietnamese is primarily a Buddhist following. So this person was, using all the laws, because wedding won't be solemnized in India. He was using all the law just to ensure that somehow or the other this wedding can happen without disclosing their religion, right? So this is the way. Even the people who are supposed to be upholding the law will be the ones trying to break it. Now, in fact, if you see those days, wherever you travel, especially when you travel abroad, or you go to any institution, or wherever when you write your data, whatever it's called, the KYC, you know your customer or know yourself. In that, there is a lot of places where you have to write a religion. And those days, very simple. People used to write whatever, Hindu, Muslim, Christian, Buddhist, whatever, right? Nowadays, if you ask them to write something, they get very offended, right? They say, you cannot ask me. It's a very private affair and things like that. Why? We can't blame them. That's the way. It's become very fashionable. Everything is. Why is this happening? Because outside everything is ritualistic. None of the true religion is followed. And first of all, there is no one to even explain. Not enough people who know what is happening, who know what is the true religion, and not enough people to guide them. That is why it's, if you see any of our classes in ISKCON, the moment you finish a class, it always asks, do you have any doubts? Do you have any clarifications on this verse? And because the person giving the class, ensuring the discussion is ended with a logical explanation with the references, right? So as I said, this symptom of this age is fashionable. People take pride in mentioning that they don't follow any religion. In fact, there is a new connotation. I don't know how many of you are aware that it's called a free thinker, which means basically another synonym for an atheist. Okay. So I said, right, till recently, there is only one, either you are a believer or a non-believer. You used to have something called an devotees or an atheist. Now there is a third category, agnostics, right? Not sure, they're doubtful. And these days, there is another addition to that, apatheism. I don't know whether you have heard that. It's apathy, it's indifference. I don't care if God is there. I mean, that kind of state we have reached. His worry is probably about how to make more money. And, that's why Prabhupada is writing, our current isms and cults will spring up, right? There are so many, cults which are coming in without any right. They don't have any fundamental basis in which what they are even saying, right? So it becomes very difficult, because their fundamental itself is like the earth was, or people have come from a different planet, or there is this Big Bang theory, right? This entire creation came out of a bang. Even a common child will know nothing comes out of a bang, it only destroys. So as a preacher, it's that much more difficult. One, I can say difficult. One, there is a lot of opportunity, right? Because we need to start telling them how religion is going to help you, right? How taking Krishna consciousness will get rid of stress, how mind will be free, how you can be better with relationships. In a way, it's so pathetic, right? These people need to be told that Krishna consciousness will help them in managing religions and managing many other basic things. So that way speaking, Krishna consciousness has high potential, because many people don't know. I mean, we all know during our deep Dhyan times, if you give a child, that the child doesn't know we need to remove the slipper to offer diya to the lordships. So terrible state we are in. Why? Because the father is also doing same way. So how will the child know that there is arati should be shown with due respect, right? So what are the isms? There will be communalism, there will be socialism, there is this new capitalism.
We
Nothing is
can't
based
do
on
it,
love of
Kudi.
God.
One paka.
Hare Krishna. Okay. So nobody knows anything, and nobody is there to guide them also, right? So forget love of God. There is too much, right? So we are aware that many cults are springing up daily. Nothing they can give even close to bhakti. That's what His Grace Premdatta Prabhu was sharing in this last Sunday class. Nobody gives any better explanation from what the highest thing Srila Prabhupada has given us. Nobody can come even close to it, he mentions, right? right? Many start ashrams. Prabhu was mentioning that ashram itself means, I think we heard in Srila Prabhupada class, right? Ashram itself means connection with Supreme Lord. Now, all strange beliefs have come in, right? Thousands of followers, self-proclaimed gurus, I mean, many material positions, and the very foundation is bizarre. Like life, as I said, right, came up with a bang, or many other things. And the best part is, all this is invented by just the fertile brains of Kali Yuga. This is the symptoms, uncultured, and they will be attacking. That's the point. Now, to distinguish all the cults and ism from the real religion, what should we do? Now, focus on the solution part. We must follow the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And just 2 points we can take it and refer to all this entire symptoms of Kali Yuga, how we can neutralize it, how we can safeguard ourselves, right? Just 2 examples itself is enough. First is Harinam. You all know Harer Nama, Harer Nama, Harer Nama Kevalam, Kalo Nasteva, Nasteva, Gatir Anyata. Chanting the holy names and glorifying the holy names. Nothing else is possible. 3 times it's mentioned, right? Sankirtan movement. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, it says that Harinam was given to Jagai and Madai. Okay? We imagine what to speak of devotees, right? Proof. It is said that they were the, what you can say, we use very heavy words like English. I mean, terrorists, we say. They were like those 2 horrible puppies, and they were delivered how? Not by killing. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Gaur Hari, just killed the demon in them, right? How long it took for Mahaprabhu? Within a second. It is said that, I was hearing a lecture and I was very, very surprised. A wonderful explanation was given. I believe our Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's, that his varna, his color, Gaura Varna, changed suddenly. He became more, the grayish black. And he was asking everybody, do you know why I have changed my color? And I'm sure all of you are thinking, because he took the Sudarshan Chakra, became Krishna, so he changed the color. No. Advaita Acharya told him the same. You became Krishna. That is why this the color is changed. Then Mahaprabhu gave a wonderful reply. No, I have taken all their sins, and since my color is changed. Which means to say, just imagine, there was not, like as we all know that, right? Jagai and Madai had taken those books and say what is sinful, and they used to do it like that, right? So in the lecture, I had heard that Vrindavan Das Thakur has written in Chaitanya Bhagavat that Yamaraj was asking his assistant, Chitragupta, right? Please tell what are these sins, okay? Imagine, Yamaraj was following very closely what's happening to these 2 people. He's asking, please tell what's, Chitragupta was saying, even if the records whoever keep, right? Even if I bring in 1 lakh scribes, that is to read out all their sins, even after a month, it is not yet over. Which means, who is telling? Yamaraj, that is in Yamaloka, Chitragupta is saying. That means, and he gives another explanation in another verse. He says that if you hear, even with 100 years and whatever, 100 or 1,000 years, it won't be over. Which means even the record keepers were worried. They themselves were worried, not just worried, they were shedding tears. My God, I don't know how they're going to face these punishments, right? That is the kind of sins they were doing. And within a second, Krishna, Gaura Hari, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just relieved them, right? So, I believe in other verse, those record keepers were saying, if you give me permission, we'll go and dump all these records now that there is no need for us to track these records. Why? In a second, Mahaprabhu is delivered them. Okay. Now, you know what happened? Yamaraj, after hearing this, after following this wonderful, incident which is happening down when they were trying to hurt Nityananda Prabhu, and Nityananda Prabhu mercifully asking them to be delivered. And Yamaraj started to dance in ecstasy by hearing such wonderful Leela down. Imagine his most wanted people are being delivered in a second. It was a big event. It's explained in detail. Brahma, Shivji, Kartikeya, Ganeshji, all of them had come. In fact, entire Brahma's family, Kashyap Muni, Kardama Muni, Daksha, it says Shukadeva Goswami was glorifying whom? Not Krishna, not Gaurari. They were glorifying Jagai and Madai. So lucky they are that they got delivered directly from Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They were doing Kirtan with all devotees. Remember, Kirtan, Sankirtan is happening where? In Yamaloka. That is the situation. So, Hari Nam is the only solution. That is point number one. So, now, 40 already. Just one point and I'll close on it. Now, Srimad Bhagavatam is a torchlight, right? It's a beacon light for all those who want to do in-depth study. Kala Chakra Prabhu always keeps saying that. So, usually when we say lighthouse, it's basically guiding those ship right from the ocean, and it basically helps the ship to guide through the right direction. Srimad Bhagavatam plays that role, especially the waters. I don't know about the ocean. The waters in Kali Yuga are quite choppy and turbulent, right? We are in troubled times. Kali, the Kali Yuga means Kalaha means quarrel, not the Kali demon. Kali, the age of Kali is the age of quarrel, and we can quarrel for anything. Even we don't need any reason. In Kali Yuga, we can just quarrel for any simple things also, right? If you just switch on the TV, we think it is news. Basically, we see people are quarreling, okay? Just for some event, and they're like just simply quarreling. That is why we must, catch hold of the anchor of Srimad Bhagavatam and see that we, from the ocean of material, troubles, somehow or the other, guided through Srimad Bhagavatam, we are guided out. We are guided through the association of devotees, following scriptural practices and the mode of serving Vaishnavas, and we'll also be swept away from the, what we can call it as material ocean or forest fire, whatever you want to call it, but through the basic tide of Kali Yuga will be sent out. So, I heard that we were talking of one last point. We were talking of all this Kali Yuga, people will be dressed like king, right? I've heard of a guru, corporate leader mentioning that to spend one day with such guru, he spent about 1 crore, right? Because he spends that time with a guru, riding expensive bike, boat ride, lunch with them. And at the end of the day, the company's balance sheet is down by 1 crore. Sometimes we feel like saying, ask him to come and dance with us free of cost, right? So I'll end by saying we must take shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam so that we can surf over the tides, waves of Krishna Yoga, not the internet surfing. We call it transcendental surfing, by who can escape the tides of Kali Yuga. Okay, through these verses, future verses, we'll come to know how Parikshit Maharaj handled, punished or rewarded. So imagine if Jagai and Madai were delivered by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, how many more Jagais and Madais have been delivered by Srila Prabhupada, right? Because Mahaprabhu could have done it throughout the world, but he left this for Senapati Bhakta to do the job, as he wanted to give credit to Srila Prabhupada. We cannot, so it says we can be attacked. Now, I would wanted to end by saying we cannot be attacked by uncultured Shudra. We as devotees need not be, I can say, fearful, but we need to be careful, right? We need not be fearful. I'll again repeat, we need to be careful with the attacks of Kali, as Kali will divide and rule us, right? We need to stay very united as devotees. We need to cooperate with devotees, and we need to do all our seva with the devotees, like we are doing now, visiting Dham with the devotees. We need to be not attached. We need to be very careful, because the uncultured Shudra population. Like I said, we need not be fearful, but devotees need to be careful. Grantraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Patit Pavan Gurudev ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.